Okay, so let's unpack this. We see headlines all the time about the next big thing, right?
Right.
It's always faster, smaller, smarter. And, when we talk about the internet, we're usually talking about speed.
Exactly. Can I stream my movie faster?
Yeah, can I download a video game in 4 seconds? But the source we're diving into today, it's not really talking about an upgrade. It feels more like a fundamental shift in reality.
It does.
We're looking at a text titled Bharat's Quantum Leap: The Future of India's Secure Internet.
It is a striking title, and you're right, it immediately sets a tone that's
Well,
it's both incredibly ambitious and also deeply grounded in necessity.
Right.
It's one of those documents that sounds like science fiction on the surface, using words like quantum, but when you peel it back, it's actually a very hard-nosed strategic roadmap.
Exactly. It sounds almost like a movie poster. Quantum leap. I mean, I'm picturing time travel or teleportation,
Or at least some cool lasers.
or at least really cool lasers. But then, right next to that, you have this very practical, very serious phrase: secure internet. So what are we actually looking at here? What's the mission for this deep dive?
Hmm. I think the mission today is to really understand the intersection of three very distinct concepts that this source brings together.
Okay.
First, we have the physics. That's the quantum part, which is the engine. Then you've got the national identity, the use of Bharat, which is the driver,
And the destination.
and the infrastructure, the secure internet. That's the destination.
Yeah.
The source is positioning these not as separate topics, but as a single unified narrative about the future. About sovereignty, really.
And it's a narrative that seems to have a bit of a cliffhanger attached to it, doesn't it?
It does.
Because right under that bold title, there's a question that just stopped you in your tracks.
Is India ready for the quantum internet? That's the one. And that tension between the declaration of a quantum leap and then the hesitation of asking if the country is ready, that's exactly where we need to focus.
It's the dream versus the logistics.
That's it.
I love that tension. It's like standing on the edge of a high diving board, looking down and asking, wait, did I actually take swimming lessons?
A very good analogy.
So let's jump in, or leap in, I guess I should say. Let's start with the tech itself. The source uses the term quantum internet. I'm the guy who gets frustrated when the Wi-Fi drops, so for those of us who think the internet is just magic, what is this?
This is the most critical distinction to make, really. What's fascinating is that by using that term quantum internet, the source is separating this future state from everything we know right now.
Okay.
The current internet, the one you use for emails, banking, Netflix, is what we call classical. It deals in bits.
Bits, just ones and zeros.
Exactly. Think of a light switch. It's either on, which is the 1, or off, a 0. Every single thing you do online is just a massively long string of those switches flipping.
And it works, mostly.
It worked. It's robust. It's gotten us this far. But, and this is what the source points to, it has a fatal flaw.
Let me guess. It can be hacked.
It can be copied. That's the real problem. If I send you a message, a hacker can just tap the wire, copy that stream of ones and zeros, and save it.
Again, I wouldn't even know.
You'd never know. They might not be able to read it now if it's encrypted, but they have the copy. It's passive eavesdropping.
Okay, so that's the classical problem. How does quantum fix it? Because the source explicitly links quantum to secure internet. It's not promising faster internet, it's promising secure.
Right, and that's the key. A quantum internet implies a network based on quantum mechanics, specifically using qubits instead of bits. Now, without getting too lost in the physics,
Please.
the magic here is something called superposition and, more importantly, the observer effect.
The observer effect, that's the thing where just looking at something changes it, right?
Precisely. In a quantum system, if a hacker tries to look at the data, if they try to intercept the message, the act of observing it collapses the quantum state. It physically changes the message.
So if I send a letter on the quantum internet and someone tries to steam it open, the ink disappears.
That's a fantastic analogy, yes.
Yeah.
Or the letters rearrange themselves into gibberish. And crucially, you and the receiver would know immediately that the seal was broken.
They'd know someone was listening in.
Instantly.
Yeah.
This is what's often called quantum key distribution, or QKD.
That is wild. So we're not just talking about a faster cable connection. We're talking about a system where the laws of physics themselves prevent eavesdropping.
Exactly. Not just a simple upgrade. And the source gives us a huge clue as to why this matters so much. By linking quantum directly to secure, the text is suggesting the primary value isn't speed, it's safety. It's unhackable communication.
That is a crucial distinction because usually when you talk about the future of the internet, it's all about bandwidth, right? 5G, 6G.
Downloading a movie in a millisecond.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But this source is pivoting the whole conversation. It's saying the future is about locking the doors.
And there's a pretty dark reason for that urgency.
Mm.
In the cybersecurity world, there's a concept called harvest now, decrypt later.
That sounds ominous.
It is. The idea is that bad actors are stealing massive amounts of encrypted data right now. They can't read it yet, but they're storing it, harvesting it. They're just betting that in 10 or 15 years, computers will be powerful enough to crack today's encryption.
So my bank details, government secrets, they're all just sitting on a server somewhere waiting for a better computer to come along.
That's the fear. And the source is basically arguing that the quantum internet is the only real defense against that future. Because even a supercomputer in 2040 can't break the laws of physics.
Wow.
So by framing it as the future, the source is telling us that the current state of the internet is, well, maybe it's living on borrowed time.
It's painting a picture of a new era, which leads us perfectly to the next big phrase in the title. The source calls this Farhat's quantum leap. I want to focus on that word leap. Why that word? Why not step?
Words matter so much, especially in strategy. And leap is a very specific choice. A step is incremental. You go from version 1.0 to 1.1, you fix some bugs, make it a little smoother.
It's safe, it's logical.
Right, it's linear. But a leap suggests nonlinear progression. It's like skipping a grade in school. It implies bypassing the intermediate stages entirely.
So it's not about catching up.
No. It's attempting to jump over the current standard to land directly in the future.
It reminds me of how some developing nations handled phone lines. In the West, we had copper wires everywhere for landlines, then we slowly moved to cell phones.
Right.
But a lot of places they just didn't bother with the copper at all.
Exactly. That is the classic example of leapfrogging. India didn't wire every village with landlines. They leaped straight to mobile networks. This source is suggesting a similar strategy for the internet.
So instead of spending billions trying to patch and secure the old classical internet.
The argument is, why not just build the quantum infrastructure now?
That's bold. That is incredibly ambitious. Because, you have to crawl before you walk, usually. A leap is risky. If you miss, you crash.
And that is the implication of the text. By calling it a quantum leap, the source is framing this as a massive, discontinuous event. It suggests the transition won't be a slow rollout. It will be a distinct moment of change, a before and an after.
It also feels a bit impatient in a good way, like we don't have time for baby steps.
Yes, there's a sense of urgency in that phrasing. A leap is an active, energetic movement. You don't leap passively, you have to commit.
So we have this high-energy, high-risk leap. But who is doing the leaping? This is where it gets really interesting for me. The title isn't India's quantum leap, it's Farhat's quantum leap. But then the subtitle asks if India is ready. Let's talk about that choice. Why Farhat?
This is a profound choice. Farhat is the endonym. It's what India calls itself in its own languages. It evokes a sense of deep indigenous identity, its history, its cultural core.
Okay.
So by pairing Farhat, a word steeped in tradition, with quantum leap, a phrase from the absolute cutting edge of physics, the source is creating a powerful synthesis.
It's like mixing the ancient world with Star Trek.
In a way, yes, but it signals ownership. If the title were The Quantum Internet in India, it could sound like India is just a market where this tech is being installed by someone else.
By like a U.S. company or a Chinese tech giant.
Exactly. But Farhat's quantum leap suggests that the nation itself is the protagonist. The nation is the driver.
That's such a good point. It positions the country not as a consumer, but as an innovator. A statement of self-reliance. We're doing this. This is our leap.
It's about technological sovereignty. That's the key phrase. In the 20th century, sovereignty meant controlling your borders. The source implies that in this century, sovereignty means controlling your data.
And your encryption.
And your encryption. If you're using someone else's secure internet, are you really secure? Or are you just a tenant in their house?
Ooh, that's a chilling thought. If you're renting the locks, the landlord still has the key.
Precisely. And notice the contrast with the subtitle. The title uses Farhat, the internal name, the identity. The subtitle uses India, the name on the global stage. Is India ready?
Oh, that's interesting.
It's almost as if Farhat provides the vision, the will, the desire to leap, while India represents the state, the infrastructure, the tangible reality that has to support it.
I like that. Farhat is the soul dreaming of the future. India is the body that has to actually do the work.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And it highlights the friction in the source, the aspirational identity claiming the leap, and then the pragmatic question checking the readiness.
Which brings us squarely to that question. We can't ignore it. The source creates all this hype, and then it hits the brakes with, is India ready?
So what does ready actually mean in this context? Because we aren't talking about digging a ditch, we're talking about quantum mechanics.
Right. Is it about money, smart people, or is it literally? Do we have the cables?
I think it's all of those, but specifically for a quantum internet. Remember, this isn't just faster Wi-Fi. It requires fundamentally different hardware. You can't just run quantum qubits over standard copper wire.
You can't even really run them over standard fiber optics for long, can you?
Not over long distances. Remember the observer effect. The environment itself acts like an observer. The quantum state collapses. We call it decoherent. To make a quantum internet work, you need something called quantum repeaters.
Quantum repeaters, that sounds expensive.
They're incredibly complex devices that boost the signal without destroying the quantum information. They barely exist in labs today. So, is India ready implies a question about physical infrastructure. Can India build these things?
So it's asking, do we have the hardware for this? And the answer seems to be, nobody really does yet.
Precisely. But it's also asking about human capital. Are the protocols ready? Is the workforce ready? You need engineers who understand quantum physics, not just Java coding.
Of course.
A leap is dangerous if you don't stick the landing. If you try to build a quantum internet on an unstable foundation, you don't get a secure internet, you just get a mess.
It's the reality check. It's the friend who grabs your shoulder right before you jump a fence and says, hey, are you sure you can make that?
And notice the source puts it as a question, not a statement. It doesn't say India is not ready. It leaves it open. It invites us to evaluate the gap between the ambition and the reality.
That ambiguity is key. It suggests the leap isn't a guaranteed success, it's a challenge. It's almost a dare.
It is absolutely a dare. And that brings us back to the why. Why take this dare? Why is the source so focused on secure internet as the goal?
Yeah, because usually tech leaps are about convenience or entertainment. Watch movies in 8K. But this source doesn't mention fun, it mentions security.
It's not a consumer product. If we look at the big picture, security is the foundation of everything. Finance, governance, military, power grids.
Everything.
The source implies the current internet is vulnerable. By calling this the future of India's secure internet, it's arguing that true security, unbreakable security, is only possible through this quantum transition.
Okay, so think of it this way. If the current internet is like a house with a decent lock, a hacker can still pick the lock or break a window. But the quantum internet this source is describing, that's like a bank vault buried under a mountain.
That's a fair comparison. Quantum cryptography uses the laws of physics as the lock. So the leap isn't just an upgrade, it's a necessity for national survival in a digital world.
So the leap is the only way to build the vault. You can't just reinforce the old wooden door.
Exactly. And that explains the urgency. That explains the ambition. If you believe the future must be secure, then you have no choice but to attempt the leap, whether you're fully ready or not. You have to get ready.
That changes the flavor of that question. Is India ready? It stops being a yes-no question and starts sounding like a checklist.
It becomes a call to action. The source isn't just observing, it's provoking. It's telling policymakers, universities, the private sector, this is where we need to go. Start walking.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? We've got this incredible mix of national pride with Farad, futuristic physics with quantum, and this hard-nosed necessity of a secure internet.
It means we're looking at a roadmap. The source is laying out a future where national identity and technological sovereignty are fused together. It's telling us that the next chapter of the internet isn't about connecting people. We've already done that.
It's about protecting them. And it's telling us that getting there won't be a smooth walk in the park. It's going to be a leap, a jump across a chasm.
A jump that requires preparation, infrastructure, and intent. The source leaves us balanced on that edge. We see the potential, but we're left with the lingering weight of that question.
It's a cliffhanger, but a motivating one. It makes you want to go out and lay some quantum cable yourself.
It really does. It frames technology not as a consumer good, but as a national project, a collective effort.
So we've gone from a sci-fi title to a very real discussion about infrastructure and safety. We've unpacked Farad, the risk of the leap, and the imperative of the secure internet.
And we've seen how just a few words, a title and a subtitle, can encapsulate an entire strategic vision for a country.
It is amazing how much story is packed into just those two lines. It's a statement, a promise, and a challenge all in one.
It is. And it reminds us that the future isn't something that just happens to us. It's something we have to be ready for, something we have to leap toward.
I love that. The future is a verb. It's an action.
Precisely.
Well, this has been a fascinating dive. It really makes you think about how we frame our own technological goals. Are we taking steps, or are we ready to take a leap?
And if we do leap, do we have the security in place to catch us?
That is the question.
Indeed.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave you, the listener, with one final thought. We've spent this whole time asking, is India ready? But let's flip it. Let's zoom out. If the answer is yes, if the leap is successful, what does the rest of the world look like the next day?
That is a massive question.
Right, because if one nation has a perfectly secure internet and everyone else is still using the old, leaky, classical one, doesn't that create a weird two-tier world?
It absolutely does. It opens up a whole new can of worms about global digital inequality. You'd have a quantum sphere of safe commerce and governance.
And a classical sphere that's vulnerable. It's like a digital castle surrounded by a village.
And everyone in the village is going to want to move into the castle. It changes trade, alliances. It could redefine the global order.
It's a reminder that technology is the primary driver of geopolitics in this century. If you win the race to the quantum internet, you don't just get faster email.
You get the keys to the kingdom.
Something to think about while you're waiting for your regular, non-quantum internet to load the next page. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
It was a pleasure. Stay curious.
See you next time.